Thank you all, and welcome to this monthly meeting of Madras Naturalist Society, and welcome to the M. Krishnan Memorial Award for Nature Writing 2021 award function also. Thank you all very much for being here. And I now request Mr. Sudhakar to deliver his opening remarks. Request everyone other than Mr. Sudhakar to keep your mics.
Sudhakar, are you connecting from two devices?
No, no. I have switched off one device. Am I audible now?
Yeah, very clear. Go ahead.
Okay. Vijay, I missed what you. Hello.
We can hear you, Sudhakar.
Hello.
Yeah, you're audible. You're up.
Okay, Yuvan. Yeah. I don't know. I didn't hear what actually Vijay told in the previous session because I lost the audio. Anyway, I will take it up from here. I have great pleasure in welcoming you to this event where we do annually the M. Krishnan Nature Writing Award. MNS has been doing a wonderful job with in encouraging young people to take up observations on nature and putting the thoughts into nature writing. And MNS has, in memory of the late naturalist Mr. M. Krishnan, we have instituted an award, and I am very happy to say over the years we have received wonderful entries in this nature writing award, and which we have been publishing in subsequently in our journal called the Black Buck. And I have great pleasure in congratulating the winner of this year's award, Priscilla, and the other commendable entries. Mr. Ganesha is here. I am very happy to see all the participants here to participate in this event. Last year was a different year from the usual years, but I have got a different take on this. Last year have been one of a very significant year for me because going into a lockdown, I have been very fortunate in getting locked down in a nice place. I got locked down in Bangalore, and I was confined to only, shall I say, a balcony from the first floor, which was overlooking a beautiful people tree. And the things which I could see just sitting on the veranda during the lockdown, because I had nothing else to do, the things happening on the people tree, the birds, the squirrels and other things, which the bats, which I was observing, probably I wouldn't have done even if I had been going around so many places, because it sharpened, it concentrated the effort of looking at the birds and its activities has given a lot of pleasure and also a lot of introspection, which I have done. What is essential in life, what is not essential in life. In this context, the wonderful entries that we have received on the this year's event, the same Krishnan nature writing event, is lovely, and the winners, Priscilla's essay actually transported me to Manipur. So with that, I welcome all these participants and hand over to Vijay to take it further. Thank you.
Thank you, Sudhakar. Thank you very much. You were fortunate, yes, and quite a few of us were not. We were stuck inside concrete structures. But then, yes, last year was different in its own way. And that is the reason probably why our theme also was the summer of 2020, more to talk about the theme and about the award itself. I now welcome Kumaran Sadashivam to address us. Kumaran.
Thank you, Vijay. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I think it's a privilege for me to be asked to address you on this occasion as we gather to for the presentation of the M. Krishnan Nature Writing Award. I will be brief. I will start with asking you to reflect on the compulsion that we feel to communicate the excitement and the satisfaction or happiness that we experience as a result of an encounter with nature. I would also like to suggest that it must be a very rare naturalist who has not experienced this urge to share his or her observations and emotions with others. I think that this urge to communicate about nature is the foundation of nature writing. The communication about nature could take different diverse forms. For instance, it could be you could be just conversing with your friend about what you saw or what you thought about nature. You could be having a group discussion, or maybe you could be giving a talk at a meeting, at an MNS meeting, say. You could be showing your photographs and videos to an email group or a social medium or elsewhere. But more significantly, you could be writing about nature. It could be something as simple as a post to an email group, or again, the social media or a blog site. More seriously, you could be writing for a newsletter or bulletin, an academic journal, or a popular magazine. Technically, you are indulging in nature writing. But more appropriately, the term nature writing is used to describe the works of people who have excelled in the art. The names of writers such as Ernest Thompson Seton, Mortimer Patton, E.H. Aitken, E.P.G., Gerald Durrell, M. Krishnan come to mind. Through their writings, these authors, writers have given us vicarious pleasure, and they have simultaneously enlightened and delighted us with their observations and insights. Many of us have enjoyed their works, and significantly, some of us have been drawn to natural history through reading such works. Thus, it was with the aim of encouraging such nature writing that the M. Krishnan Nature Writing Award was instituted some years back. It was instituted particularly to encourage writing among young people. The award aims to promote excellence, and it more generally it hopes to stimulate interest in nature among everyone. Each year, the competition has a theme on which the participants write, and as has already been indicated by Sudhakar, this year when we announced the competition, COVID-19 and the lockdown measures were uppermost in everyone's minds. So when we were looking for a topical theme, the choice was natural. Participants were asked to write about their nature experiences during the summer of 2020, wherever they may have been anchored during that period. Response was very healthy in terms of the numbers of entries received. And what was more gratifying, perhaps, was that the geographical spread of the participants has continued to increase. And the last year, we had probably the best coverage of India. Practically every area of India was represented by the participants who gave in entries. Well, what did they submit? In terms of quality, there was no lack whatsoever. The competition was close, and so it was a pleasure to read each entry that was submitted. I would like to congratulate the winners as well as all the participants for their efforts. And I would like to exhort each one of the participants to continue writing. We await with excitement the presentation of the award and meeting the awardees who are here today. So I will conclude my remarks here, and I look forward to going on to the next part of the program. Over to you, Vijay.
Thank you so very much, Kumaran. That was a great introduction to the award itself. It's like Kumaran said, about 9 years ago when we sat to discuss about the instituting this award, there were a lot of thoughts on what the focus group would be. And I think we have been right, and we've been proved to be right over the last 8 years to keep the focus group to young persons aged between the years 18 and 30. And that has been, it's actually shown that there are a lot of young people around in India. And like you rightly said, this year we had a fantastic spread right across the country. We had entries coming in from all over, and that was very, very gratifying. And to see that, I think we've been right to keep it between the ages 18 and 30, because the kind of ideas that were emerging from the young persons were very, very different. And so, thanks again, Kumaran. That was wonderful. So we'll proceed to the formal part of today's meeting and to give away the award. The M. Krishnan Memorial Award for Nature Writing winner is for the year 2021 is Sosyuvan Priscilla Kapai from Impal, Manipur. The award consists of a check for a sum of 10,000, a citation, and a certificate. Now, Priscilla is presently a second-year MA student at the Center for English Studies in Jawaharlal Nehru University. And surprisingly, she completed her bachelor's in physics honors at Miranda House, University of Delhi. And I was talking to her yesterday, and I was asking her what made her do this transition from physics to English. And she said her interest is always to write, and so she perhaps found that it's better to switch over as quickly as possible to her interest before life and age takes over, and that's how she's moved to become doing her graduation in English. Well, she's also interested in photography, textiles, and book art. But as she says, literature remains the bedrock of it all. And she plans to pursue further her studies in English literature. And I don't know why she says this, but she says hopefully she will teach someday. Well, we're looking forward to the day when you would continue to write and also teach. Your essay was extremely well written. Congratulations, Priscilla. I will now read out the citation for the award. M. Krishnan, I've shown this to you. This is the citation. M. Krishnan Memorial Award for Nature Writing 2021. Citation. Writer, naturalist, nature photographer, field biologist, M. Krishnan could make nature's bounty come alive through his writings. Ms. Soshvivan Priscilla Kapai, in her essay titled The Architecture of Splendor Around a Commoner, describes how the summer of 2020 was a portal to the summer of her childhood with its imagination, delight, aimlessness, and above all, curiosity. For compellingly portraying that our home, the earth, is no longer what it was, that the summer of 2020 has irreversibly affected the natural trajectory of our otherwise convenient lives, and that the challenge now is to reassess development and conservation plans, keeping the commoner at the forefront. Ms. Sochwan Priscilla Kapai wins the M. Krishnan Memorial Award for Nature Writing for the year 2021. Given this 11th day of April 2021, signed K.V. Sudhakar, President, Vijay Kumar, Secretary, Madras Naturalist Society, Chennai. So friends, this is the citation, and this is the certificate, together with this check for 10,000. Congratulations again, Priscilla, and I request you to address us.
Hello, am I audible?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for inviting me to this event, your monthly event. I guess it goes without saying that it would have been such a pleasure to meet in real time. But anyway, here we are. I'm deeply grateful and humbled to receive the M. Krishnan Memorial Award for Nature Writing. And to be honest, this award came to me also as a surprise because I wrote without any expectation of winning. Writing itself was such an interesting and fulfilling experience. When I first saw the theme of this award, the title, The Summer of 2020, I was instantly intrigued because to me it felt simultaneously historical and futuristic. Historic in the sense, for obvious reasons, it's such a huge moment, and I'm sure we'll be reflecting back on this moment, for a very long time, even when we survive this pandemic. And futuristic because it's pushing us, I think, really to the edges of the future, to the unknown. We're always thinking about the future as well, right? So it's this liminal zone existing in multiple dimensions. So I was very kind of glad to think about this theme. And the other thing that I wanted to also say was is perhaps quite subtle, but the idea of nature meant to be experienced intimately in our immediate spaces rather than just viewed is something that I share deeply. You know, the theme also I alluded towards that from my understanding, and that is a lot harder to say, to achieve, right? It took a pandemic for us to come close to that feeling, at least for the most of us. So to be immersed in nature, to me, is not just a sentimental feeling. In this day and age, I think it's quite radical to think outside of this race of quote unquote progress, you know, and to feel that we are part of a collective whole, to be able to kind of grapple and despite all this disorienting things that's happening in around us, which fractures our reality. But there are also wonderful ways of forming, you know, like collectives such as this. Now we are here today in memory of M. Krishnan, due to, you know, the legacy that he left behind and the love that we have for nature. So I'm really grateful to the Madras Naturalist Society. I'm so glad that you created this platform for us young people to think, to ruminate, and imagine new ways of thinking and feeling about nature. So yeah, I don't have much else to say. I'm really here to listen and learn, and I think we're going to need it, this deep kind of thinking where crisis after crisis is ahead, like looming in the horizon. But hope was never meant for the comfortable. It's meant for the ones who confront reality, the challenges, and, you know, the kind of the unknown as it is. And so, yeah, with that words, I would like to conclude. And thank you so much again to everyone in the comment section as well for your kind words. I really hope you enjoyed reading it. And yeah, thank you.
That was so wonderfully spoken, Priscilla. So wonderful. Thank you so very much. And I'm sure there are a lot of questions that in our minds that we would like to address to Priscilla. And if you do have, please, as usual, post them in the chat, and we'll take up those questions at the end of the meeting. Thank you so very much, Priscilla, for such, you know,
Thank you
wonderful
so
expression.
much.
The expression which were completely, I think it came from very deep within you, that was so very evident, and we're so happy that, you know, there are people like you still around who will ensure that nature will continue to be what it is supposed to be. Thank you so very much. Thank you. Yeah, so now we have also, you know, besides the awardee, just the award winner, as part of this one, we also select commendable entries to, and this year, after I think a gap of almost 3 years, we choose 2 commendable entries, and this year we did get 2 commendable entries. So could Dr. Ganesh Hegde and Priya Raghinathan kindly switch on your video so that we could all see you. Yeah, that's Dr. Ganesh Hegde and Priya Raghinathan. Yeah, Dr. Ganesh Hegde and Priya Raghinathan entries were selected as commendable. And so I'll talk about Dr. Ganesh Hegde. I'm going in an alphabetical order. There's no distinction between the two of you who are on the same level. I just take Dr. Ganesh Hegde first. For the very first time in the last 8 years, we have a medical doctor who actually sent in an entry for the award. Dr. Ganesh Hegde is a general surgeon, and he is right now at Gulbarga. It was during the period that when he was preparing for his general surgery examination that he actually observed a pair of Indian grey hornbills from the room in which he sat. And he was fortunate to have this tree exactly opposite to where he sat, or I do not know, or whether he set up somewhere else, but it was visible from his room. And what he shared in his essay is what he observed during that 4-month period. Very beautifully, very nicely expressed. And well, he's always been a keen observer of animals and birds, like he says. And he, I'm sure, must have been very busy during his medical studies. But he, despite that, he's written a lot of articles on animals and wildlife for the Deccan Herald. And there is nothing more that I have to say about Dr. Ganesh Hegde. This is a certificate which the society gives to people who won the Commendable Entry. It reads M. Krishnan Memorial Award for Nature Writing 2021. Commendable Entry, Dr. Ganesh G. Hegde from Bengaluru. Dated today, signed by the President and Secretary of the Madras Naturalist Society. I now invite Dr. Ganesh Hegde to speak to us. Dr. Ganesh.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you, Madras Naturalist Society, for this opportunity. I congratulate all my colleagues and friends who have made their entries. I wish to get in touch with them, if possible. And I would like to second what Mr. K.V. Sudhakar sir has said about what happened during his lockdown time. And I feel that every ardent nature lover will find something fascinating when he or she is stuck anywhere. And it is also very relatable, I think, for every student that when you actually sit down to study, you would probably think of everything except studies at that point of time. So this is also kind of what happened to me. And the material for my entry was actually collected when I was preparing for my exams. I only have one thing to say, that I have a request to Madras Naturalist Society that if you could kindly use your platform to bring all the people who have made entries together, using any social media platform like WhatsApp or anything, if you could bring us together, because then the scope for that would go much more beyond than this. And we might see people inspiring each other, collaborating with each other, and in the end, adding some more wonderful material to the world. And it would also bring the entire India and different diversities together. If you could just stay in touch with each other using your platform. Thank you. That is all I have to say.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ganesh. That is a wonderful idea. I think that's a great idea. I'll start working on it right now and from today, and I'll see if we can get everybody who's probably submitted their entries for the last 8 years. Is that okay?
Yes, sir.
Not just this year. Is that okay, Dr. Ganesh? Yeah. Yeah, that will give us a lot more.
Sure,
yeah,
sir.
Great idea. Actually, very wonderful idea.
Sure,
and it will be great to interact and know what they have actually been doing over the last 8 years and where. Wonderful. Thank you. Thank
sure,
you
sir.
very, very much.
I'm honored, sir.
Dr.
Thank
Ganesh.
you. I'm honored.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
And I wish you all the very best. I believe you are very busy at work, and then the only thing I would like to say is please take good care of yourself.
Yes, sir.
Be safe.
Same to you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Ganesh.
Thank
Thank you
you,
very much. So we move on to Priya Raghinathan. Well, we had someone studying English sending in her entry and winning, and with a medical doctor submitting an entry. Never happened before in the last 8 years, but then it's very common that people who are associated with conservation do. And so, well, that had to fit the bill somewhere. So Priya, of course, belongs to that group. Priya Raghinathan is a wetland ecologist. She's affiliated with ATRI, where she works with Dr. Jagdish Krishnan on wetland ecosystems and ecosystem services and conservation in southern India. She's a trained, she's a geologist. That was her undergrad, and master's is from Duke University, North Carolina, in landscape ecology. She's worked with a variety of issues within conservation, including habitat connectivity, wildlife corridor delineation, with WWF India, Western India Tiger Landscape, human wildlife conflict and conservation with Center for Wildlife Studies, Bangalore, and river routing and eco hydrology at ATRI. Wow, that's a more than a handful. Yeah, she's very passionate. Of course, one can make out about conservation and ecology, but then she is also pursuing a BA in Bharatanatyam. Having trained in classical dance for the last 15 years, she teaches dance along with a Guruji using the virtual platform. Well, that was very interesting, and one wonders how she juggles all this together. And also, she's an avid reader and writer. She's co-editor for a kids website called Youth for Nature. Oh, that's wonderful, Priya, which brings stories of conservationist adventures in the wilds of India to life for young readers using simple language and colorful artwork. But she is also a volunteer editor for Jalaplavit, a wetland magazine, and runs creative writing workshops for children across India. Wonderful. Well, her favorite animal is a leopard, and her favorite bird, it's tied. Okay, it's tied between the white-rumped vulture and the black kite. And a favorite author, I don't know why she says this. She says it's either Ruskin Bond or Janaki Lennon. Well, she's got to make up her mind which. But then, friends, her article was written when she was locked down on the 17th floor of a building in Mumbai. I think she was staying with her grandmother at that point in time. Her article is called Twisting with Kites. So this is the certificate that goes to Priya Raghinathan, which again reads M. Krishnan Memorial Award for Nature Writing 2021, Commendable Entry, Priya Raghinathan, Bangalore, 11th April 2021. Signed K.V. Sudhakar and Vijay Kumar, Madras Naturalist Society, Chennai. So over to you, Priya. We're all eager to listen to what we have to say.
Am I audible?
Yes.
Am I audible? Okay, thank you. So thank you very much both to the esteemed judges of the M. Krishnan Nature Writing Award and to the audience attending today. It's an immense pleasure and an honor to receive the commendable mention for such a prestigious competition, and that to an award in the name of one of India's best naturalists and nature writers. I would have loved to meet each and every one of you in person, but for now the virtual platform will have to suffice. As someone who is passionate about science and science communication, writing about nature is my way of conveying the important message of conservation to a wider audience. However, I found that people most often don't take kindly to being told to care about the environment or recycle, reuse, reduce. So I try to do it in more insidious ways, such as writing descriptive pieces about natural landscapes and wildlife in very descriptive language, and then people don't realize and they fall in love with nature without realizing that it was actually a sleight of hand. I especially enjoy catering my writing to younger audiences, since children are the future of the country and stewards of nature in the decades to come. Perhaps this love for children seeped into my hand as I wrote this piece for the M. Krishnan Award about the notorious black kites of Mumbai, my hometown, and the love-hate relationship that I share with these raptors. So black kites are the quintessential survivors, soaring at great heights, but also able to forage close to the ground, at home both in the great city and in the forest. In this regard, they are much like us humans, forced to adapt to a new normal and evolve as a species as we forge a new future in the wake of the pandemic. I naturally found myself drawn to kites and drawing parallels between their behavior and social interactions. And those of the people I saw around me struggling to balance life as they used to know it and life as they were forced to know it now in a pandemic. Nature, after all, is as simple as the world around us, something that we often lose sight of in our daily hurried lives, and something that Priscilla also mentioned. Perhaps I think the soul of nature writing is just jotting down observations and making connections and parallels just from our balconies and our backyards. Though sometimes I think it takes a pandemic or something of this magnitude to bring home this reality. I wanted to just thank actually or attribute my love for writing or any subsequent skill I have in it to my mother, who is a writer and a poet, and who more often and more importantly is the encouraging guide that I needed throughout my childhood. She used to tell me stories from her imagination, from mythology, and this sparked an interest in storytelling within me. She used to always correct my writings, and she does it even today, right? Correcting, giving her feedback, and she never tells me don't buy more notebooks, more pens, and always picks up more books for me, which I think is really something that even all children could benefit from. Someone who encourages them, someone who's willing to foster something as so-called impractical as writing, and someone who values it as an actual skill and something that should be put on a platform. So I think thanks to her, I really picked up the pen and opened Microsoft Word and wrote this piece today for the competition. To conclude, winning this award is very special because M. Krishnan represents an entirely, a different level of writing. I love his stories about adventures and natural history observations in and around Mylapore, which is where my grandfather lives. And I could identify the places he wrote about, and I love his simple, natural style of writing. I also enjoyed the fact that he heavily disputes the planting of non-native tree species, which is something you see in Bangalore a lot these days, in the upcoming colonies and housing complexes. They always plant non-native species, and it's nice to go back to what M. Krishnan used to say about, the benefits of native trees and just, that native trees are the soul of the country, and those are the trees that should be planted. But that's just the reason I'm really love what he writes about and what he stands for. I'm so happy that you enjoyed my writing, and I'm very grateful to you for giving such a prestigious platform for such young aspiring writers like ourselves to share our thoughts and experiences with you all. So thank you so very much.
Thank you, Priya. I think the pleasure is completely ours, and I think we're very, very grateful to you, Dr. Ganesh and Priscilla, and all the others who have over the years been sending in their entries for this award. MNS is privileged and honored. I like this thing about the parallel that you drew between the social interaction between the kites and us. I think that is something that is new, and food for thought, but I never looked at it in that sense. And that's probably the reason why we have, Homo sapiens a lot. It's good to look up and see a lot of kites in the sky. But nice. So thank you all very much for being here with us. And I'd forgotten to mention that Priya has actually joined us from Cincinnati in Ohio, where she's there on work. If anyone in the present today, friends, would like to ask, I didn't see any specific questions addressed to our awardees, but if there is anybody who would like to ask any one of them, I think most welcome to switch on your mic and ask them. Yes, Tara? Yeah, Tara?
Yes, I really enjoyed today's session. It was really very wonderful and so encouraging to know that young people are passionate about writing. What Priscilla, what I want to ask is what do you like to be called? We're all calling you Priscilla, but is that what you're called at home?
Yes.
Or do you have another name?
Yeah, that's completely fine. Both of these are my names. So Chui one is my other name, and that's completely fine. Priscilla works.
Good. All right. All of us are taking the easy way out and calling you Priscilla all the time. But
Yeah,
I thought,
actually, yeah, Tara, I had called her yesterday and
yeah,
asked her, how do I pronounce Soshivan? And she
yeah,
told me how to do it. So I wrote it down in Tamil so I don't make a mistake.
good, good. That's the way to go. That's the way to do it. Yes. So um, I was really curious to know that how is it that despite being a student of English literature and being passionate about writing in English, um, of course, writing in English doesn't matter. You can write whatever language, but how did you, learn to observe so keenly, small biodiversity around you in the fields? I thought that was very, very impressive that you had this curiosity to inquire about what they are and also to understand that what is common to you may not be maybe rare elsewhere. So it's really important to note what even you feel is common. Sometimes we just take for granted what we think is common, but actually it may not be so common elsewhere. So I just want to ask you, how did you learn to observe like this?
Thank you so much, Tara ma'am, for this question. I guess growing up in where I grew up, in Imphal, in Manipur, perhaps it is we do tend to take for granted, really kind of growing in that heart of this exuberant biodiversity. But I guess growing up in the small colony, the one the where I spent the greater part of my life, the first 18 years, um, we didn't really go out much in terms of traveling or any of that kind of thing. So me and my siblings, we just had to suffice with playing in the backyard for just every summer. And I think that kind of intense, perhaps confrontation with the same space again and again does open ways for one to be creative about the way we look and see and feel and just kind of imagine. But I'm so glad that you kind of noticed this observation, this kind of thing in me as well, because that's something that I'm really working on to be more sort of aware and to be more mindful of the surroundings. So I would just say that, it perhaps it comes from my upbringing, the space I grew up in, and yeah, reading, definitely reading inspires that kind of scrutiny in observation. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I wanted to address this to Priya about this black kites, because I also had the occasion to see black kites. Am I audible?
Yes, yes, yes.
Yes. I was also able to see the black kites from where I was locked down in Bangalore. A lot of black kites actually during the course of the few months I was staying there, I was able to identify even individual black kites because of the damage to the wings and the tail and all that. But and there are also a lot of feral pigeons in that area, and there are no sparrows. In Bangalore, you don't see sparrows. I don't know why. Chennai, you can see sparrows, but Bangalore, you don't see sparrows. But I never saw a black kite attacking any pigeons or small birds. I don't know whether black kites have already driven the sparrows out of Bangalore. I was curious because you had your article, Priya's article was somewhat along these lines about the black kites and the effect on the sparrows and the other small birds. Thank you.
No, that's actually a very good point, sir, about so I'm trying to remember, like in Bangalore, the interactions between kites and pigeons and even sparrows. But yeah, I've also seen them in the airport area. I've not seen them too much anywhere else. But at least in the case of Bombay, in what I've noticed or what I've heard also, my mother and my grandmother used to say that sparrows were everywhere, and there used to be prolific numbers of sparrows in and around the house, and in the trees, and very, very visible. And the number has definitely gone down, and the number of kites has also gone up. So I've always been curious about that, and I was reading a lot of the BNHS, the Bombay Natural History Society, like little articles and observation notes that they usually publish. And it seems like a lot of people have started noticing the correlation between the increase in the kite population and a decrease in the sparrow population. So I have noticed sparrows being chased by kites occasionally, but much less than much less than you might have been seen in the past when sparrows were more visible. And for pigeons, I can say for a fact that I've seen kites and pigeons having aggressive interactions near our balcony, because there's two AC vents, one of which is home to pigeons, the other of which usually ends up being the roosting spot of a kite or two. And maybe it's the proximity. It might just be the fact that they're so close to each other and naturally disinclined to like each other. But I've never noticed any polite interactions between them. So, but yeah, these are all, of course, based on observations. Like I've not studied, like looked and conducted any experiments on sparrows and kites. So it's all whimsical observations for the most part.
I know. Very interesting.
But it's an interesting point to look into further. I would like to look more into it.
In fact, I thought the way the feral pigeons are increasing, maybe we should have more black kites in the cities to control them. I don't know, people might hate me for saying that.
All right, thank you. I have a question for Dr. Ganesh. Dr. Ganesh, did you actually go back and check as to what is the state of that nest? Are some of the birds using it? I mean, a hole in the tree would be used by, for instance, the roasting parakeet and other. So, were you able to go back, or are you still there in the same place where you saw this tree and you observed what happened to it after that?
Unfortunately, I've shifted and I am working in a different place now. But at the time when I was leaving, I think miners were using that place last.
Oh, okay.
To nest.
Yeah, you had mentioned even in your article that the miners were trying to disturb the. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, yeah, sir.
So you did.
And I would just like to mention that it is the first time that I have made such an entry or written anything regarding nature anywhere. And the language being spoken here about birds, kites, all these interactions, this is what I have been longing to hear probably since all this time. Now I have somebody to share with. And yes, it's music to my ears. That's I just like to share that.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Ganesh.
Thank you. Thank you.
Are there, yes, Tara?
Yes, while Dr. Ganesh is still on, I wanted that since you combine medical expertise with a passion for nature, now coming out more and more as you speak, would you, in your medical profession in the future, try to bring in, aspects of the benefits of nature? For instance, a lot of people during the lockdown said that their mental health was very much benefited by just looking at nature, or the fact that they could feel closer to nature. And of course, physical health is so important. Nature is so important for physical health. Good clean air, good clean water, good and variety of foods. So I was wondering whether in the future, as your medical career goes on, you would like to incorporate these aspects.
Madam, I can say one thing that as of now, what I feel or what I've experienced is that nature itself takes care of most of the things, even healing. And what we can do, whether we are doctors or how much ever qualification we have. All we can do is assist nature to heal itself, the body to heal itself, or to take care of itself in some ways. We cannot replace nature. We cannot do anything that nature can't. So nature will do its part, and we can try to make it work the best it can and assist it. I feel so, and yeah, that is my opinion.
Thank you, Dr. Ganesh.
Thank you, madam.
Yeah. Any more? All right. Thank you all very much. And to the awardees, I will, the next couple of days, I'll be posting the certificates and the citations and the checks to you, to the addresses that you have given me. So thank all three of you again very, very much on behalf of MNS to have taken time off to be with us this morning. Thank you. Thank you very much. Very, very much.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Yeah.
Thank you.